I've decided what I'm going to do, what bikepacking route I'm going to do this summer. I'm going to try to do the northern part of the European Divide bikepacking trail, and I'm actually really looking forward to it. The southern part last year was really interesting. Unfortunately, I only have 2 months to use this summer for bikepacking, and I will actually be trying to ride from Stockholm all the way up to the start of the route. So I'll be doing probably a bit more than 5,000 kilometers. The thing I haven't decided yet is what bike I'm going to use for the trip. And as I'm back in Stockholm for a short while over Easter, I decided to try out a few different pieces of kit and see if I could come to a decision. And this is one of the options, and this is probably the most sensible option for that kind of trip. It's a Kona Libre aluminium version. It's a 2022, fitted with a rear rack. My gravel panniers. It has a half frame bag. This is the first time I'm using a half frame bag. It'll be very interesting to see what I think about that. Accessory bags and my Ortlieb handlebar bag. Now I know this works quite well as long as I don't overload it. The original gearing on the bike is way too high for me to use for proper bike packing for long days in the saddle, heavily loaded. So I've changed the rear cassette to an 1146, which is more than the derailleur should be able to handle, but it works perfectly fine with that. Unfortunately, the front chainring is only available in supposedly a 38, but you can't get them. A 40, which was mounted originally on this. This is the SRAM Apex 1 kit, and that was just way too high for me to use. Luckily, I managed to find something that I'd left over from an old single-speed bike build. A carbon crank that I could mount a 34 tooth chain ring on. So that gives me 34 in the front, 11 to 46 in the rear, which brings me down very close to the 20 gear inches I want for the lowest gear when I'm bikepacking. I know this setup will work quite well. Most of the components, apart from the bike, have proven themselves on other trips. I've used everything apart from the half frame bag on other trips. So I managed to mount my fork packs on the fork. It doesn't have proper spacing for a 3-pack mount, but I managed to modify it so it fits quite well, and I'm not going to overload it, so it should work quite well. This will be a nice, comfortable kit to ride. It actually even has a suspension seat post. Now that's probably not something I would have bought, but I got it along with the bike, so I thought I might as well try it and see what it feels like. With a setup like this, I can put my tent poles in here, spare tube, a few extra tools, and then food and other basic stuff I want to get at reasonably quickly. I've got my Top Peak little toolkit here, my favorite little toolkit. I've got easy access here, and then on top of that I'll put snacks and stuff I want to get at immediately. I've got my 2 little bags here where I can keep my phone, I can keep my glasses, which unfortunately I need all the time. Odds and ends, sunglasses, mosquito repellent, which I'm going to need on this trip. Odds and ends like that. In the front bag, I learned on my last trip that it doesn't really do all that well with too heavy a load. So I will be putting my sleeping kit in here. In here I will have my quilt, my air mattress, my long johns, and my woolen shirt to sleep in, along with some socks, stuff that needs to be dry and that I only need when I'm camping at night. And that kit fits in here quite reasonably, and it doesn't become too heavy. And I also have the side pockets for snacks and odds and ends, and toilet paper usually ends up being here, something that you need access to quickly when you need it. In the fork packs, one side will have my stove along with some food, and the other one will be reserved for food. So at the moment, this side is completely empty. I think the longest section on the northern part is about 250 kilometers, so I need to carry food for like 2 to 3 days at the longest part. So that should be plenty. That, along with the area I have in here, should be plenty to be able to carry the food I'll need for those sections. And the rear, I have my trusted gravel packs with my tent strapped to the top on one side, extra footwear on the other side, and I've got plenty of room for clothes, wet weather gear, camera equipment, my iPad, and everything else I'll be bringing in. Exactly what that gear will be, I will decide when I decide on what bike and how much equipment I want to carry. I feel like I have a lot of room to carry too much stuff with this setup at the moment. I'm actually going to bring an extra dry bag that I can put on top of the rack if I need to, so I'll have plenty of room to carry food even for the longer stretches, and I'll be able to put extra water on the rear rack when I need it. This, as I said, is the most sensible setup I've got, and I've managed to complete it. I managed to get the gearing done, and I've mounted the tyres tubelessly. They're 45mm gravel tyres, and I think this would be probably the perfect kit for that part of the trail. But I've got a few other options, and I'll show those to you as well in future videos, so keep watching.